Cape Cod has become an e-bike hub in recent years, and the growing popularity of these motorized bicycles shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. However, while e-bikes offer an accessible and enjoyable option for many cyclists, the prevalence of these devices on narrow sidewalks, bike lanes, and bike trails has raised a number of safety concerns for both riders and pedestrians. In response to these concerns, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey filed an act to enhance the safe use of micromobility devices in early May. The bill, otherwise known as the Ride Safe Act, aims to improve public safety by regulating the use of e-bikes and other small motorized transportation devices such as scooters and mopeds. As of mid-July, the Ride Safe Act is proceeding through the Massachusetts legislature. For a closer look at the bill's progress, capecodnews.org spoke with Galen Mook, Executive Director of bicycle advocacy organization Mass Bike.
Long story short, the governor filed the bill, and then the Transportation Committee heard it, chewed on it for a bit. The House transportation side put a lot of those similar recommendations in the economic development bill that just came out from the House side of things. The Senate side of the Transportation Committee filed their own bill, standalone. So we basically had two parallel moving tracks. And I just heard that the Senate Economic Development Bill now also includes micromobility. So there's, three different ways in which this is moving right now, currently in this legislative session, even though we're kind of rounding out the legislative session, which is a good sign for folks like me who want to get some legislation passed, because it shows that they're actually putting a lot of work into it at the beginning of summer to get something out, which the deadline of this session is the end of July in order to keep things alive. So we're confident that this is the priority for some of the transportation team to really make sure that we have something moving, because we hear it all across the state, from the Berkshires to the Cape to the city, that people are on these scooters, they're on these faster bikes, and we don't know what they are. Local police departments don't know how to handle them. And advocates like myself aren't really able to help guide education to really make sure that they're being ridden safely.
According to the state, current laws offer limited guidance for regulating the use of micromobility devices. The Ride Safe Act aims to establish clear statewide regulations with the goal of reducing crashes, protecting road users, and providing law enforcement with the means to act when necessary. However, don't expect the Ride Safe Act to have an impact this July or at any time this summer.
The deadline at the end of the month is just to make sure things are in conference. So they've been agreed upon that they'll agree upon it. I'm not expecting the bills to pass or to be voted on by the end of the month, but I am expecting them to maintain their priorities in the bills that are moving. The real deadline is early January of 27, that everything's got to be done. So my hunch is we might be seeing some more conversations around this, into September, October, maybe even seeing them move a little bit later into fall.
Governor Healey filed the Ride Safe Act after considering recommendations from a statewide commission that featured representatives from state agencies, municipalities, and advocacy groups, among others. According to Mook, who served on the commission, the working group met throughout 2025 to build a framework for the present and future of micromobility transportation in Massachusetts. The commission released its final report in early 2026, which includes 16 recommendations and focuses on three broad categories: device requirements, travel allowances, and operational restrictions.
Not all 16 made it into her bill, which is fair because it's a pretty extensive commission report, which is going to take many years of further work. But the main things that we're tackling now in her bill were the definitions of what these devices are in terms of speed. So we were less concerned about definitions in terms of what they're called. Is it a scooter? Is it a bike, et cetera? But more how fast can they go? So we created a speed-based criteria, which broke it down into certain tiers. 0 to 20 is tier 0, 21 to 30 is tier 1, 30 to 31 to 40 is tier 2, et cetera, et cetera. So different tiers of different categories would then require different operational requirements, different travel allowances, et cetera.
According to the state, the proposed speed-based framework says lower speed e-bikes will follow bike lane rules with helmet requirements and protections for riders under the age of 16. Meanwhile, higher speed devices will face comparatively stringent requirements, including registration, insurance, and roadway restrictions. Furthermore, the bill aims to implement a minimum age requirement of 16 for operation of higher speed devices.
And there's also kind of a cleaning up of what, arguably could be construed as a conflation of bicycle with some of the faster devices. So we're trying to pull out what would be class 3 e-bikes, which are more common that you might see sold at a bike shop with what would be a motorized bicycle, or what would be what we're calling now an e-moto, which are these electric faster devices, knowing that we are really trying to make a standardization of, if somebody says they want an e-bike, we know what e-bikes are.
The Ride Safe Act also aims to establish a commission to guide next steps, such as policy recommendations regarding registration, insurance requirements, law enforcement, and infrastructure. On Cape Cod and across Massachusetts as a whole, e-bikes, scooters, and mopeds are an integral part of many people's lives. It's safe to say these micromobility devices are not going away anytime soon, which indicates why MOOC and many others have voiced their support for the Ride Safe Act.
We actually want to encourage people to use these for transportation and recreation. We know and we've seen e-bikes, in terms of the slower speed e-bikes, really be accessibility tools. They get a lot of new people who wouldn't thought about riding out on two wheels, or people who have had injuries back on two wheels, or maybe they're older adults and feel like they've aged out of being able to tackle that hill. So we're seeing these e-bikes really kind of be used to more or less allow for an equitable, accessible, and active use of the resource of these rail trails.